Welcome back. Okay, it's been about 4 months since I got back from my last trip in the summer, and I've already made the decision that I want to travel again and be back on the road as soon as possible. So now I have to find a new bike, and I have to do it with a really small amount of money. So that leads me to
Step 1. Find a cheap bike.
I got it. I finally found the bike that I'm going to use for my next trip. I'm really happy with what I found. This bike doesn't run. This thing has sat for 4 years. So at the very least, we're going to flush out the old gas. We're going to clean out the carbs and we're going to change the oil and see if this thing kicks.
Viva a cartola, viva a candeia, viva a cuíca do mestre Marçal, viva a portela, viva a mangueira, viva o fundo do nosso quintal. Viva a cartola, viva a candeia, viva a cuíca do mestre Marçal, viva a portela, viva a mangueira, viva o fundo do nosso quintal. Viva a cartola, viva a candeia, viva a...
It's March 24th now, about 3 months since I bought the bike in December. Man, it needed a lot more than a carb clean. The major things was it needed a new head, a new barrel, new piston and rings. The old one had a broken valve guide that made it so that the valves weren't closing all the way. It was really hard to start. A lot of things were worn out, so I brought that to a good shop in the city. And it turned out to also have some electrical issues. These older xr400rs, or like the xr400r, the 600r, it typically doesn't come with a battery. It doesn't come with a speedometer, odometer, stuff for turn signals, horn, all that jazz. So I found a Baja Design dual sport wiring harness and I switched it out with the rat's nest that was in here. And then I added a new battery, a really small battery underneath the seat. I did all the soldering and put it with the lights and turn signals that was already on the bike, got a new controller. And I also managed to get enough power from the stock stator in order to run the GPS, which I really needed and I'm happy with. I have that mounted onto the handlebar. I also soldered in an ignition switch to the ignition coil, I believe. So yeah, that's what was done, dual sport wise. And then the rear shock I sent out to a specialty shop to get rebuilt and revalved. So that's feeling a lot better. I took this bike out this weekend as soon as I got the rear shock in, and it ran great. I mean, I went up to the Catskills, which is where the beginning of the Northeast BDR is. For those who don't know, the Northeast BDR is a 1,200-mile trail that goes from, I believe, Hancock, New York, and goes up north towards Massachusetts, Vermont, all along that area, all along dirt roads and back roads. There was definitely some fun riding. It was very cold. On the highway, it did burn a little bit of oil, but not much considering I was doing highway for some amount of distance when I was heading back from the trails. I was kind of really nervous in general, just about maintenance stuff. But after this trip, I feel a little bit better. Yeah, all in all, I'd say $5,500 was, or maybe a little bit more, was put into this bike after buying the original bike for $2,000. It's a lot more than I thought it was going to be by a long shot. I thought maybe $500, $800 I would have to put into this bike. Clearly, it wasn't that. That's just the gamble that you take sometimes on Facebook Marketplace when you buy a bike, where even if they say it's just needs a carb clean. But I'm kind of happy with it. After doing a little bit of work here and there to save money on what I could do, it seems like a very simple bike. It's very lightweight. I think stock, the XR400R comes at like 260 pounds or something like that. In the end, I probably could have bought a newer 250 or 300, like a KLX or something. But I figured a lot of it probably will come down to how well I maintain the bike and how well I'm able to see what problems could come up before they actually turn into problems, like cleaning my chain, keeping track of the clutch, et cetera, et cetera. Oil changes a lot, valve checks, and obviously a lot more that comes with harder riding or longer distances. So I figured I just got to get better at that, and whatever bike I choose will come down to how well I'm able to do that and how well I can take care of my bike. So yeah, I'm glad this is a somewhat pretty simple bike to work on. At first I was still learning how to start it right, and I think now that all the kinks are worked out, it's starting up well. I feel a little bit better about taking this to my next trip. I will be shipping this bike from Montreal to Paris in order to do a lot of the trans-Euro trails over in Europe, which I'm really excited to do, and which is why I have an enduro-style trail bike for an adventure bike, rather than something a little bit heavier, more highway capable. So yeah, I'm shipping it from Montreal on the 14th, and that is through Transat Airlines. But yeah, I'll be sure to keep you guys updated on how this rides. I'm psyched.